And we are back once again. You've seen these two faces on your screen before, which means you know that it is EPL LOL Season 3. But we are in the lower brackets now, Doctor. It is a game changer because the loser of this series, this BO3, is going home.
Yeah, we've already had our one loss coming on through for GSMC. Have that on against Rift yesterday. Unity were not afforded an opportunity to lose. They started playoff here in the lower bracket. And so this will be their first game of the first, potentially their last. They can't come up much today.
And we're seeing some pretty standard bans coming through. The Lilia, the Ziggs, the Varus, the Rumble, the Misfortune. However, the Olaf getting banned away, it's a little bit different. Obviously, we know Wind does pilot it, as also does pilot the Cassante, so we'll be expecting that, as the Ashe going to be locked in for Gamespace early on.
Oh, okay. The Ashby one is not the most common, a lot of other ADCs, but we have seen it come through. And, when MF and Varus are both off the table, usually it ends up being the Leona or something that gets grabbed here. But Ashe will make it work as well. Important to note, of course, Aurora is enabled now. She was not available for the playoffs or for the group stage, but she will now be available in the playoffs.
And we did get to see her, 2 days ago, I believe. We got to see her.
2 days, yeah.
And it did. I won't lie, it didn't look that good. Like in the one game we saw it got smoked. So I don't know how often we're going to see that one pulled back out. Right now, the Jhin are going to be locked in there, a pick that we've seen quite a lot. And I'm not going to lie, I don't like the Maokai anymore, Doctor. I feel like there are better picks. There are better options. The Maokai is old news in my mind. Like
Maokai?
Especially into something like the Ashe, right, as well, which is so immobile. Like you could have easily picked the Skarner. You could have picked the Sejuani, like you could have picked, like there's just other picks like we see from Gamespace that could have been locked in.
Yeah, I mean, but he gets the job done at the end. Like Maokai and Sejuani, very similar for sure, but what the trade-off is, a longer range engage for Maokai versus a more upfront tankiness from Sejuani. Obviously, Maokai's still tanky if he can get some passive procs off, but I think with the Jhin, it's fine because you want your engage to be as long range as possible. Like if you can snipe a random W from Jhin on someone, you want to be able to follow up on it. And if the Sejuani ult isn't going to reach, at least now you have a Maokai ult. Now the Maokai ult might take some time to get there, so you may still need to consider that one. But also saplings can get you an extra pick. They can get you a W proc, right? So this setup right now is playing for range.
Yeah, and I'll take things I predicted for 300 there. The Cassante being locked in from Wind. I feel like we could have all seen that coming. I said it a little bit earlier. Wind, really good on this champion. Pretty much plays it whenever they get the chance. And into Renekton, it feels pretty nice as well. So it is going to be a pretty standard top side, which means that we might get a little bit more of an interesting bot lane and a mid this game, because Team Unity still haven't drafted, neither have Gamespace, which leaves open a lot of powerful picks that could be banned away, right? The ADCs are still on the board, the Yone has been taken away, also the way that we have seen a couple of times now, which has looked insane, also still up for grabs.
Yeah, it's very rogue that we've gotten this far, and not only one, but neither team has actually picked up their support yet, unless Jerky has played Maokai support, so that could be it. Because I was thinking that, Rel and Maokai, Rel and Leona, not on the table yet, or not been picked or banned yet, and it's rogue to me. If you look over at Gamespace, it's like, okay, so we take the Renekton, which, Renekton is kind of a do-nothing, and in a world where, either something like Nar could get picked into it, but also just like a tank, like Cassante, it's like, oh, cool, we've just now got a nothing top laner who's going to get outscaled. And why did we feel the need to take this over the Leona, over the Rel? Maybe there's a little something being cooked up by Gamespace over there, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get counterpick on support. That could still be saved for Jerky to take an R5. Maybe some sort of flex comes through with a Poppy or something similar as well. So I'm not sure what the plan is here yet.
Well, this would be interesting. I also would be very surprised. I'm really shocked that they're even going for the mid pick here. I don't know if they're trying to say that we're flexing the Maokai. Like,
I think it's fine, but like if you just grab Rel here, are you not mega chilling? Where is that going?
Okay.
I mean,
so we've gone for the Aurora.
I guess it's mid.
Yeah.
You play Aurora mid? Is she playable jungle?
Mid. I don't know about
Is she playable support? Probably not. But
Yeah, I think Aurora mid does make sense. I guess there is a world where you could say she could get played support, but into Orianna, it's very standard. Like, I feel like Gamespace have picked the standard comp here. Like, you have the classic front to back. You've got Ashe, you've got the Orianna, you got a little bit of damage from the Renekton, and you got the front line of the Rel Sichuan if they lock it in. Like, it's pretty much the comp if you wanted to play some very simple, old school League of Legends.
I think we're just baiting the Rel here so that Jerky can slam Poppy again. I can't imagine a world where you leave the Rel open after all this to like blind Aurora, who is now just immediately Orianna, boom, you're outranged, right? Like, this can't be that good of a matchup, I'm going to assume. But we have seen Jerky go crazy with our Poppy.
Surely, like, surely it has to be a switch up.
He went so crazy with the Poppy. All right.
Oh.
All right. Okay.
Now it all makes sense. It's all coming together. Okay. They wanted Senna, right? And that's that. Now I won't lie. I don't know how well Senna does into Rel. It feels like it
wouldn't be very good. But I mean, I'll give Jerky the benefit of the doubt. Jerky's been going crazy with it. I mean, Jerky's had some amazing Poppy games, so that's where I thought we were going with this. He's also had good Maokai games, right? Although both of those were paired up with Misfortunes. Although I do believe that there are some shenanigans going on with Senna these days, courtesy of the changes that she ended up getting. And I don't remember exactly what those were, so I will go ahead and look it up, because something changed with, like, the ratio on her ult or something went crazy, or the ratio on her heal, but it now just becomes such a massive team fight tool, as she got patches to move her more down into that support role as opposed to AD. Yeah,
it's an interesting pick. I will say, I feel like Unity, they've set themselves up with a bit of a difficult task, right? I feel like the bot lane is going to be so important to them. We're expecting Scheibel basically there all the time, right? Which does leave open the mid and the top side to be exposed towards the side of Gamespace, right? They might really try and pick apart the Cassante, try and really dissuade the Aurora from doing a lot in the late game. But also, if they do just go for that bot lane, they get that Jhin center behind, where is the damage coming from, right? Like, that's a big question for me. It's like, Wind might do a lot on the Cassante, but at the end of the day, if this Ashe gets really far ahead of the Jhin and the Senna, well, they might just become a bit useless. They get hit with an engage. They're not particularly tanky. They're going to get blown up. And I do feel like there's a little bit of a risky one. They've gone for a riskier comp, but you know what? If it does pay out, the range is unreal, and it could become very difficult for the side of Gamespace to walk in.
I mean, I think it works in one way, in that, you know, the big problem with Jhin is that he can't kill tanks ever. He's all execute damage. And we say, well, this is fine. We've got we've got range from the Senna to poke out, and then also the Aurora as well. Not too bad. Just send that a bit of poke, get through some tanks, get them nice and low for the Jhin. My issue is the same issue that everyone has with support Senna on their team in solo queue, is that you look at this bot lane, it's like, what happens if you get engaged on? Like, you just die. There's no two ways around it. Every time someone picks Senna support, you just think, oh, cool, we're going 0-12. Like, and this is why, you know, Senna, when you pair it with a Braum, with a Kench, you do some, you know, some funneling or some fasting, whatever, this can work very well. But the Senna just with a Jhin, it's like, we're just two immobile ADCs with essentially no self-peel. I'm not really going to count either of their roots because they're conditional and take a while. And it's like, if the Rel just flash W's, is it not a double kill? Have I missed something here? Well, if an arrow hits, is it just dead? Like, is it double cleanse in this lane? Like, what's the situation going to be?
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from. I definitely understand your fear. And I do agree, right? I think there is a lot of essence where it's kind of like, actually, you know, if they do get hit with the engage, they are kind of dead. Like, a glacial prison to the face, you're done. You know, like, I don't really see who's saving you. Obviously, in the later stages, I guess that they're saying, okay, well, look, we've got the really classic team fight of the Orianna Ashe with the front line. We're going to have a really classic team fight as well of the Jhin, Senna, and the Aurora all standing back and having the shield wall of that Cassante and the Maokai. But I don't know. I will say this as well. I want Maokai to go tank this game, right? I don't want to see the AP Maokai because, like, we need the front line, Doctor. We need the wall. And Scheibel cannot become a damage wall. You know, it's not going to do its thing. Yeah, has anyone ever built AD Cassante? Am I griefing? Is this like a...
I think...
It's like a...
No,
thing that he doesn't do.
I think there was like one patch where it was like, this is technically an option. It's like, oh no, it wasn't that. It was that he had like a weird bug with aftershocks that gave him infinite AD. Because the thing is that he turns resists into damage anyway, right? So I don't think that I don't think even, I don't know what his AD ratios look like, but in either case, like, I'm just terrified for this bot lane. I really am. It's so easy. Like, even you get hit by an Ashe W, it's like, oh, I'm slowed. GG. I'm getting railed. Like, but if there's anyone that I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to, is always going to be Jerky. He has been just performing at such a high level in the last couple of days here in the EUPL, but those were all on tanks. It was Poppy games predominantly, a couple of Maokai games, a couple of Rail games. It's never been a Senna game. So let's see what he's cooked up.
Okay. Well, we'll have a little look. We'll see. Yeah, I'm thinking AD K'Sante could go crazy, right? I could try like a Titanic Hydra, you know? Maybe.
I don't know if he has the ratios for that one.
Maybe I'm cooking too much. Maybe there's like...
Might be a bit burnt.
I think there may even be a conversion, which is maybe I'm like going a bit crazy. But here we go. We talked about what will happen when there's an engage, and we're going to get one pretty early on. Unknown going to flash forward. Nisa going to flash away. The Ignite ticking down, but it's not enough. And
Jerky's got damage.
Now trying to go crazy with it, but gets knocked up themselves. Unknown can turn around, and there's the engage flash again from Jerky. And it's a sentiment where the engage worked out. However, Unity, I will say, ever so slightly, maybe won that.
Wait, no, this is big for Unity because they have sustain and they have range. Now Karmsky's in a spot where he can't really engage unless he can somehow hit level 2 first. I think they're down in the wave, though. Yeah, no, they've not hit level 2 first. There's no secret engage coming out from Karmsky. And this is the problem. They're both low. You're struggling to go in if you're Kamsky. If you're low, you're risking getting 4th shot by Jin. And you see massive sustain coming on through. We've got Fleet, we've got Grasp, we've got Biscuits and Pots, and of course Senna Q as well. Absolutely terrifying situation. Nessa just wants... He's looking for that 4th shot. It's going to be a huge amount of damage that goes through onto Unknown or even Kamsky. As somehow they've managed to live through that engage. And maybe that's the secret to this strat, is that you can't get level 1 all in. You're just... just safe enough, as now both junglers make their way down towards the bot side.
And they're going to have a fight of their own right now, and it's Davis that is going to have to walk away here. Tribal had the immediate support from Unity's bot lane. I do wonder if this opens up the potential for an invade, although we'll say with both junglers starting topside, doing their bot side camps makes a lot of sense. And I do agree with you, right? It's a sentiment of the initial engage didn't work. They're now behind. The poke is scary. And there's also no flashes in this bot lane either. So very, very gankable state for either side.
Yeah, a bit terrifying, But Unity should be the ones in control here. As for double range lane, they tend to have, their choice when it comes to what happens with this wave. And so now as it starts bouncing back towards them, it gets very scary for Unknown and Karmsky, because I mean, if he gets set up with a freeze on you, you can try and trim it a little bit with Ashe W's, sure, but that cooldown is very long right now. And then, of course, it's double range. They can just do what they want to the wave. So this could be a terrifying situation for Gamespace down there in the bot lane.
We'll have to see how that one does progress. As in the mid lane, we talked about the outranging. Deathlock so far having an okay time, right? Pretty even with Frost size. We'll have to see, obviously, how that one does scale into the later. As we are going to obviously see a bit more interaction with the junglers. So far, just doing their first clear. And no real problems across the rift.
It's a horror. If we can take a look down bot lane, I'm pretty sure that wave is just completely sent on over towards the side of Neza and Jerkin. You can see Unknown walking back from base. He had to reset, yeah, and he's lost so much off that reset there. And the wave's still going to be in a bad spot as, oh, the cannon. It's a horror, maybe it's okay, but he's not happy about this one. Meanwhile, Neza gets the reset, comes back with a better buy because he had a few more creeps on his way out, and gets to catch the wave. This is a terrible spot for bot, but there's also a gank on top.
Yeah, he is surfing in it right now as we are going to see
Unity just win.
Pushed back. Unity looking for the play. Ooh. Wind going pretty low. Icebreaker moving in. Will there be the kill? Scheibel needs a little bit more damage, but so does Davis. Scheibel gets the first blood, and Davis walks away, deciding against the 2v1. And Team Unity have come out swinging, and they are landing, Doctor.
There's Wind just sticking it through on that one, just about managing to stay alive there. Good dodge onto Device's W as well, and that's just more advantages for Unity being picked up. Although, no, Icebreaker has been doing a good job. You can see he is up about 10 CS, and we'll catch a bit more after that TP at the very least. But it's getting the ball rolling for Unity at the start here for sure. And
Oh, he's done it.
Oh my God,
he's done it, Doctor. Scheibel's going AP.
He's not going for like full AP, right? He's just getting the Leandries.
Faded Ashes is fine, right? Like that's chill. I just feel like maybe you go Faded Ashes and then just build tank straight away, because like,
well, if you're gonna do that, you might as well just get Bammies, right? Like they do the exact same thing. I will say, as much as I hate the Leandries on Maokai as well, I have not played Maokai jungle, so I don't know how much of a difference it makes to your clear. Well, I haven't played it since the release of Faded Ashes, so I don't know if that's a
must buy.
Like, if it's a really big difference to get on, and same with like Leandries. You think that it does also help a lot when it comes to things like the Drake and the Grubs and little rogue bits of both just coming out.
Right, you got Rel, Sejuani, and the Renekton to burn through. Like it will equate to quite a bit of damage. Maybe it's not going to be too sad, but we'll see in the later stages. As right now, Icebreaker fighting Wind here. I don't know if this is necessarily the play. The Xante's going to be quite strong. As Scheibel is going to be caught out here, forced to flash away. No response from the bot lane of Unity.
Yeah, and there's a wave is crashing in onto bot lane, so Unknown is going to be forced off to go and catch that, and Deathlock managed to catch the mid wave as well, so he can now move on over. So this has actually quickly become a 4v3 as a collapse could come through.
Oh, and here we go. Between Worlds going to lock in all three members, but there's the shockwave, and it absolutely cuts through the side of Team Unity. Frostsize with the perfect ultimate to then set up another. Nida, the last, left alone against three. Unknown with the slow. Cleanse going to come through, but it's not going to have much effect. Karmsky on the rampage, looking for the stun.
Oh, the body block.
Gets out, and Unknown gets the kill.
It looks like a strong start to the fight for Unity, but lovely little shockwave coming on through. Wind up in the top lane, at least trades one back. But the fight itself, it's a good positioning, it's a good engage, but it's just one member being bursted out for Gamespace. Meanwhile, everyone else gets caught up in that CC, and all the burst is thrown onto one person, so Neza can't actually do any more afterwards. He's still really not actually that strong in an all-in fight. Like, he's just a fourth shot at this moment, with ultimates not available for any of Unity either. But the Drake at least is not taken. That one still stands because instead Device has made his way on over to his topside to pick up the first three grubs. Maybe a quick trade, but with Scheibel going for his topside camp, so it looks like we'll probably just end up having another fight for this Drake in just a few moments, really, as both junglers will start to make their way down there.
And they are doing just that. Making their way down. But it's going to be slow, right? Like, it'll be a slow progression towards that bot side, right? Like, Grub's being picked up by Gamespace. I like that they decided to go for that instead of the Dragon straight away, because I do think, obviously, the early game power that you can get from it is pretty massive. And I think leaving the long-range Jhin and Senna with 6 Grubs would be maybe a little bit dangerous. But we talk about the classic team fight, right? We talked about how, like, Gamespace, they've essentially just locked in the El Clasico of League of Legends, right? They've got front to back, they've got Orianna, they've got tanks in the way, Shockwave, plus a little bit of damage for ADC, from your ADC, that should be team fight done, and it's so easy to pull off. Whereas Unity, we talked about how they have a lot of range, but in that last team fight, they got very, very close together, and obviously that makes it much easier for Gamespace to play the game.
I mean, I think if everyone has ults there, if Unity and Gamespace are both level 6, I think that fight goes really well for Unity, but it's just the fact they don't really have damage. Everyone gets bursted out as before they can use any of their range. Yeah, it doesn't matter that they're too close when they have a good engage, but then they're still too close after that engage, as the Drake is started up once again. Fixes are available.
Going over the wall, looking for the smite by Karmsky with the double lockdown. There is the glacial prison as well. The dragon is taken by Team Unity, but for what cost? The stun, Jerky so low, not going to fall down, and Unknown will finally be removed. However, it looks like it's going to be another 3-for-1 potentially, because Scheibel will fall down as well. Jerky still on the edge of their life, and Deathlock flashing forward, looking for the kill, will get it, but can they get away? The Wheedling to get them a little bit more space. Karmsky looking for the stun, but cannot get into range just yet. Deathlock, can you get over the wall? Karmsky is running you down, and there is the Orianna damage, and the Karmsky will finally pick it up.
There's so much move speed coming on through from a Rel, from Orianna Dissonance, that we don't even have to risk missing that skill shot and can simply just walk it in again. Plenty of kills going on to Gamespace's side there. The Drake was secured by Scheibel. We did manage to finish that one off, but another just awful start to the fight for for Unity, and for Neza specifically, as the arrow comes through and then the Sejuani ult, and He's just locked down, cannot breathe, because he used his cleanse on Ash Slow earlier. So would not have access to that one in this fight, and ends up dropping. I'll say it again. Jerky doing pretty good in that fight specifically, you know, playing his limits very well. Unfortunately, I think he's just missed one heal onto Shive, which I think what he was looking for, and I'm not too sure if it made a major difference, but the attempt was there. It's all hang about.
Ooh, Jerky, gonna get slowed, gonna get stunned, gets knocked up. Here's the Sejuani, the CC coming in, and Doctor, we said it. What do you do when you get engaged? Unity don't have an answer.
That's kind of the hard part of this lane right here. Is well, once Unity go in, once Gamespace go in, you see it's just like, okay, cool, we're just gonna die. Even if Device wasn't there, I think Karmsky just flashing in with a stun. It's okay, Senya just dies. There's not really a lot to be done there. You can see Jerky is going for a tankier build. He's going for Cleaver, going for Grasp, but I don't know if that's going to be finished fast enough. And if you keep dying before then, it's just going to mean kills keep on going over the... And by the time you're tanky enough, by the time you've got enough health, too much gold has gone, Gamespace have enough damage to get through the health that you've now built, and we're back to square one. So, absolutely something to keep an eye on down there in the bot lane for sure. As I know Jerky and Neza could just end up being a little walking piggy bank for the members of Gamespace, who currently find themselves rotating up onto the top side, setting up for the next grub spawn and trying to secure all 6.
And you've also got to look at the Orianna too. 303 at the moment. Frostar's getting pretty strong, and we've seen how damaging the Shockwave can be in a fight. Wind, potentially a bit of a saving grace here, but not if he dies on his own. Right now, 1 versus 4, stunned up, locked down, will go all out, but maybe only to get away. The slows are still following as Wind just about makes it out alive, but with the utility that had to be used there, I can't English right now, Doctor. It's a sentiment of Wind has to leave. There is no opportunity for Unity to fight for these grubs. It will be 6 taken over by Gamespace unless there is a miracle snipe coming in from the Jin
Big
here.
W. Big W.
Big W.
That was crazy. I did 200 damage. How 260? I don't know how I pulled that one off, but he gets it done. Steals one away. Light work for your boy Neza there, as Shival goes to clear out some vision, does get forced back a little bit, but it is still the vast majority of the grubs going on over to Gamespace there. As whilst the kill wasn't found on Wind, it might as well have been. You know, he's close enough to dead. I did like the way that Gamespace sort of played that, is they get the initial engage onto Wind and play it a little bit slower, just not instantly sending everything, so that when Wind pops the ult to try and turn it around, boom, that's when he gets stunned by Sedge, that's when he gets ulted, that's why when all the CC starts coming through, once he's in that squishier form. And so it's something to keep an eye on when you play versus Cassandra. It's like, wait, if we have CC, we CC the tank version, we're all going to die. We got to go ahead and hold on to that until he pops his all out, and that's exactly what they did, and it worked out very well for them. It's like one auto in it, really, that stopped them from getting that kill over onto Wind, but it did still secure themselves the objective.
And let's have a little thought as well, right? Not only did they get the objective, not only did they almost get a kill and blow some summoners, they also got plates on the bot side too, right? Icebreaker was able to go down there, get a lot of plates. There's only 1 plate left on that tower. So again, increasing that gold. They're now over to just slightly over 2k, and they're going to take out the Aurora. Deathlock having absolutely no option to do anything in that fight.
Now that is one very dead Aurora right there. Is, like you mentioned before, it's going pretty well for Orianna. A lot of kills on the board, and crucially, you know, this is the Orianna that went the scaling build. You know, we've rushed the whatever it's called, Archangel's first item, and gotten away with it. And, you know, it's like, don't need the Ludens. As Device comes through, smites that away, and then Scheibel might just have to flash or actually he should just die. Don't waste
Magnet Storm. Scheibel does stop the knock up from Karmsky, will flash away. Glacial Prison goes slightly wide as Nature's Grasp going to be coming through here. Karmsky will be locked down and rooted, and now further rooted, and will actually face the same fate that we've seen so much for Team Unity. But Wind on this side going all out. This is actually a pretty nice fight for Unity if they can get in there. Right now, Aurora between worlds will buy some lockdown. Icebreaker though kills them off, but now Wind can go in unknown, in trouble, facing down the tank, gets the slows, and able to walk away for now. Unity though take control of the dragon, and they finally show a bit of presence in the game.
I take it back, it wasn't a waste. Scheibel flashes out. I kind of forgot the Drake was up, I'll be honest, but he goes out. That means he can send his ult back on it, and we turn into a pick. That's the long range pick that we were talking about, where the Maokai ult comes through and the Jin W on top. If they needed it, you know, you could look for a Jin ult as well had it been available. And there's just so many ways to pick people off from a distance and get that first kill. And then we can see the fruits of having Wind get all these kills come into action as he moves on in this. No one can really do any damage to him. You know, you don't want the Orianna to be hitting the tank Cassante at this point. So when he's got his just first item Thorn Mail and a Warden's Mail on top of that, what's the Ashe doing to him? What's the Renekton doing? Absolutely nothing. As he can move on through and continue to pick up kills. Nearly ends up being a much bigger fight as well as... I believe when he did go down, it was during Jerky's heal. You know, it was mid-animation, just didn't quite get the heal off in the end. Actually, no, it wasn't Wind first. Someone died during a Seneca. It was not Wind, he lived the whole thing. But my point stands, it was a very close fight in either case. And also what we saw at the end there is that Scheibel got back up to full health. He was one hit when he flashed out. But courtesy of his passive and courtesy of the changes to Senna, a lot of healing now available as he just makes his way back on through. So that's another thing to consider. If you don't get someone on the initial engage, not only can they re-engage on you from a distance that's way too safe for you to do anything, but they're going to heal up to full at some point in that process as well.
Indeed. TLDR, extended fight, good for Team Unity. I agree.
Yeah.
First fight, good for Gamespace, right? And I will say, it doesn't mean that Gamespace can't do a little bit of extra long time fighting. However, what I will say about Unity too is they're not slacking on the long range, on the burst either, right? We saw how quickly they took down Kamsky. They can pick a target. They can also lock someone down for ages, by the way. So I think realistically picks are going to be aplenty for both sides. But yeah, in that long range, in that long time fight, definitely a lot of utility or a lot of options for Unity. But they still have to answer that question. If they get engaged on, what will happen? The last time they fought, it was really split. And like we said, they like to play a long range distance. They don't want to be getting close quarters. And right now we're going to see a little bit more close as we are going to see the lockdowns coming through. There is the curtain call, but the Magnustorm is massive. 3 members caught and win now. Trying to turn it around with Niza, but it's a 2 versus 4. You can't win that one. Niza's got to run, but the flash will be to get him away. No opportunity for Unity to fight that one out at all. The burst was good and the fight was clean.
Yeah, like you said, you know, up front, short fight, burst fight, pretty good for Gamespace. Again, just another massive shockwave. Very quickly turns into a handful of kills. And there's no re-engage. Everyone's dead. It's a relatively squishy Maokai. And likewise, the rest is... everyone just going on down. There's a forcing out a flash as well. And so even though he didn't die in that fight, it means the odds that he dies in the next one are pretty high without that summoner. And we can't be falling for this one twice. It's happened once to Unity already. Now it's happened a second time. And usually you get sort of 3 strikes in these. If that happens again when Baron's up, the game is... It's looking pretty over for Unity in that situation. So we got to be real careful to not all face tank and Ori. And again, I want to note that this Orianna is not really building for this massive like early game power, but is still getting it done. And so this is a build that's going to scale incredibly well into the late game. It's not like we haven't wasted on like something like a Luden's early or like Rush the flat pen, but it's like, hang on, now we're going to have a nearly fully stacked Dark Seal. Yeah, could turn that one into a measure if we want. We've got the sort of just infinite scaling, not infinite scaling, you know what I mean, just percent value increase that Horizon Focus gives. Fully stacked here, so it's safe as well. Like, this is going to be an incredibly scary Orianna, and there was no trade-off for it. You know, Gamespace just got it for free.
And I think going back to your point, right, there was a comedian that made a joke that was actually relevant to this. It's a sentiment of, fool me once, shame on you, right? Fool me twice, shame on me, because I should have seen that coming, right?
Again.
Fool me 3 times, right? Like, now maybe shame on you again, because like you're kind of bullying me, right? How am I getting fooled 3 times without maybe not seeing that coming, right? Fool me 4 times, and like, okay, they should have seen that coming. Fool me 6 times though, you just must be a master of your craft, right? And I feel like the sentiment for Gamespace is, I feel like they can fool Unity 6 times, multiple times, because at the end of the day, they have so many engage options, Doctor, right? From long range, from short range, from mid range, they got it all, right? They can always find these fights, and I find it very difficult for Unity to have any way where they stop that, right? Ash Arrow coming in, Glacial Prison can come in from a long way. If Rel gets any sort of flash engage, which is pretty decent mid-range engage, like it's very hard for them to stop all of these potentials. And for Unity, it's like, I feel like they kind of have to have the mindset of someone needs to take the hit, you know, faster than turn it around.
Counterpoint. All right.
Yeah.
Another great artist. Fool me one time, shame on you.
Yeah.
Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times. We get rid of any peace signs, we load the chopper, let it rain on you, you know?
Yeah.
What if that's the strat? We get caught a 3rd time.
Yeah.
And then Unity just go crazy with it, alright?
And they do
say,
have
alright,
Jin.
fine. We'll take the fight to you. We've got to be careful. I don't love the ball starting off in a bush already. It's scary.
Yeah, right now, though, Unity, they're going to try and make this play happen. Deflock on the backline, though, is going to be able to get aggressive with it. However, it is starting to go well for Unity, but they're now starting to fall a little bit. It's an even fight at the moment. Gamespace trying to clean up, but actually, they are being completely dissipated. Like you said, they've unloaded, and they are absolutely crushing Gamespace in this fight.
My days, that's 4 kills. No, it's not only 3 as Shaibu takes the last, but a load of gold going on over to Unknown, or to Neza even, and the rest of Unity is right there. It's the fight before. You know, he said, well, this was the perfect fight for Gamespace. Yeah, that's the one they want. This is the perfect fight for Unity. We're sitting 5 miles away. We send in the Maokai ult. We've now got the RFC finished up for Neza and the Cleaver for Jerky as well. So when they're sitting 5 miles back, we're putting out huge amounts of damage over onto the team, and no one can reach them. So it doesn't matter that the Dragon is lost, because now the Baron is started up and should go over very easily to Unity. It's just the perfect fight for this comp.
Can we get the ultimate rel steal? Is this going to be the situation? The hero moment, the knock-up coming through, the TP is there, the Baron is taken, but how many get out alive, Doctor? That's the big question. Davis now trying to make their way through device, looking for it, going aggressive, but there's Deathlock locking them all down. They're in the between world, and they cannot escape, and it is a big problem for the side of Gamespace. Team Unity clean them off the map, and now have 5 Baron buffs with only 1 member defending.
Oh, Unknown should be in trouble here. Cleanse will come on through from Neza. He can't hit his root.
It's not enough.
He's chilling. He's fine. Good lord. All 5 go down again. And it's just another great fight. A perfect fight for Unity. This Gamespace can't get a good initial engage. They're not, a full-formed team at that point. The shockwave hits nothing. It's just the ball was not moved. It was stood on top of someone. And just any fight where you're hitting the front line, any fight where you're hitting tanks is great for Unity. They have so much damage that sort of just goes through people. With Senna's, Senna's Q and Senna's ult, both double dipping in terms of hitting your front line and hurting their back line. But being these AoE lines, you have it the same with Aurora, who just shoots a line through people. It's like, great, this is putting out % max damage health as well. And even the Maokai, like anytime you're just hitting fronts, we're just putting out extra damage onto the rest of the team. But I think what should also just really be noted is how good it is for Unity that Wind got ahead early and is strong and was able to do this kind of build, and recognized how strong this build could be, because every fight where it's half the team is kiting back and dealing with those front lines, every time you see that Wind is doing everything else. Like, they are only allowed to have a perfect fight because Wind is distracting 2 or 3 people on the other side of the fight. It does have to flash that. I thought it wasn't going to hit, but he ends up flashing it out. So shout out to Wind. If he's not strong, these fights are completely different, even though the interesting part is happening away from them.
And it's like we said as well, right? It's keeping that distance. Okay, the Jin Senna, they can do so much from a long way away. And I feel like Between Worlds is also allowing that a lot because it's locking people in. But here we go. When they get the engage, what can they do? The Between Worlds is going to be proc, but so far it's a 1-for-0. They will equalize back. It's now the curtain call. It's opened up. They're trying to look for the finish. And Wind on the backline. It looks like Unity are going to go aggressive, but they've gone too close. Deathlock down immediately. But can Wind turn around? He's strong. He's powerful, but it's not going to be enough. Another fight going Gamespace's way because they closed the distance. They got the engage, Doctor.
Yeah, and they do a great job of just burst those 2 members, completely stop the dive play coming on through right as Wind commits. Now there's not really a tank, there's no wave. You see Shaibu has to W out just to try and live a little bit longer so he can get a passive proc off, and no one can follow up. Now Wind's stuck in the middle of 4 people. He's getting the Ashe experience as he's just trying to walk into range of someone to maybe be able to ult them, and just everyone's walking away, perfectly spacing him out whilst he's getting slowed, and he'll end up dropping as well. So I guess both teams recognizing very well what they need to do in the fights. They're almost not recognizing what the other team's trying to do, so whoever overcommits first, or oversteps first, usually ends up being in a world of trouble. And I think I don't know if a little patience would have gone a long way there. When you see that Neza threw, I think 3 of the shots went just into Icebreaker's Sterax, which was absolutely massive for some reason. And it's just like, have we been able to get the kill if we just held it off a little bit? Are we a bit too excited in this? Are we a bit too jumpy? Who's to say, as both teams now square up in the mid lane. No Barons available for Unity, obviously having timed out, and the Drake has spawned up, but it's not a soul point.
Oh, Device getting locked down there. Very tanky though, so will not take too much damage. And it's only 700 gold between the two teams. It's a very close game. Dragon has spawned, and we're seeing slowly Unity move their way down, but it is Gamespace that I think have a slightly better position due to the flank with the Renekton. Although that has all been changed as Unity do get control of the river. But again, they need to be the ones lengthening out the fight. They don't want to get close quarters. The curtain call is going to be utilized. Icebreaker not interested. Wind going to find Unknown. And this is a great start for Unity. Gamespace in a lot of trouble here. Already losing big carries. Double Shockwave will land. But it's not enough. It's only half HP. They can heal up from that. They can go straight to the Dragon.
I didn't like the engage. I thought, what are we doing? What are we engaging? You know, there's no pick here. It's just a random throw onto a tank. But it's just distracting people. It's distract them whilst the flank comes on through from Deathlock. You come around, you can just one-tap the Ashe, get rid of the only real threat to Cassandra, who's not even a threat because of damage as much as it's just the kite. But crucially also, I believe that the Maokai ult zoned Frost Size off entirely. And by taking a fight in the middle of mid lane, and by sending a Maokai ult at such an angle that just spreads people out, it completely just opens up the fight, which means that there's no opportunity for Frost Size to get some sort of crazy ult off until the very end. And likewise, Device has got people on top of them. They can't get the big Sejuani ult that they were looking for. So it's a really good... I thought it was a bad engage, but actually in hindsight, looking at it through, it's like, this works out flawlessly. It just spreads everyone out and lets you get the kinds of fights that you are looking for as Unity.
As long as Unity do not corral themselves into a corner, I think that they can win most fights, right? Just don't put Neza, Jerky, and Deathlock all on the same space for a Shockwave, you know, and I feel like they're probably good.
Hopefully. But I think a slight problem is now that you don't get to have such an open fight again. Because Gamespace, you know, fooled me once. Yeah, this time it's switched around. They're not going to fall for that again, I think.
They're not getting fooled, yeah.
Well, actually, never mind. No, take it all back. Oh, wow, maybe. I was going to say that Gamespace has got complete control of the top river. As they had walked on in at the time I was talking, they had 3 members in there, and they were securing vision as well. But they've just sort of given it up. They all just walked out. There wasn't really a wave to catch on mid, and I don't think that there was a Baron wave threatening to come on in and do anything. So everyone backs off, and now control of that river is given over, which means that Unity can just do the exact same thing again, but just, you know, flipped on that positive diagonal symmetry there. Is now they stand in top river, force people to come to them, and then take the fight in mid. Because they don't actually want to fight in river. There's a lot of chokes there. You know, there's a lot of angles for a good Orianna or a good Sejuani engage. They want another fight just bang slap in the center of mid lane again. And actually now they've given up on that mid lane. They've given up the inside track. We might have a sort of yo-yo back and forth a little bit. And any time that control of that top river and members of Gamespace are in that top river, that's a good spot for them to be in. They do not want to see that same fight again.
Oh, and with the recall timers, I do wonder if Gamespace could potentially make a play for this. They're not going to. They're keeping it very reserved. And I feel like Gamespace are almost losing that little bit of oomph in a way. Like they're not sending it, Doctor. You know, they're not going for those aggressive plays because they have been burned a couple of times, right? Yeah. And I feel like they need to keep going because they need to be the dictators of the fight because they need to catch Unity out. If they can't catch Unity out and Unity can set up, well, then we've seen how that fight goes.
Yeah, I mean, something that I think is interesting for both teams in that regard is that neither of them are really splitting. No one's sent anyone away. I think Unity recognize that, like, if they just get hard engaged on 5v4, it's over. Like, we actually need all of our members. And I guess for Gamespace, they want to be ready to pull back trigger instantly, and they know that it has to go fast.
Oh, and here we go. 5 versus 4 TV going to be coming in from the Aurora, but they might turn around. Curtain Call going to open up a bit of space as the arrow going to go too early. So Aurora completely untouched. Deathlock now moving forward. They've got the lockdown. The Between Worlds is holding them in. Kamsky is trying his best, and they will be able to take down Deathlock. And there is a kill on the Jerky. Maybe this could be Gamespace's moment. Wind is trying to get into the backline, but Shiva will take down the ADC. And Icebreaker, the last alive, will fall. Neza untouched in that last team fight.
absolutely nobody can reach him. And that's right, as I'm saying, they want to look for that 5v4 engage if someone was ever to not be there. They do, but they can't quite find it out. And again, if someone is untouched, in this case it's Nezo, if he's just 5 miles away, what can you do? I mean, Jerky, like he's in there, he goes down eventually, you know? But he's not really the priority target for you. Likewise, Deathlock buys a lot of time, but you have to get all 3 at the same time, or the fight is just over, and yeah, Nez is just completely untouched. So, fight gets cleaned, and the Baron does get picked up. The other important thing to note here as well is, even though Jerky did eventually go down, let's be honest, he went down because he walked into melee range, he's got Cleaver, he's got Hurricane. If Jerky can just live a couple of seconds, they've done their job. If they live the whole time, the fight's definitely won. But even if they don't, just by getting like auto Q, that's kind of basically it, mate. You get an ult off of well, you're happy. You've put out such massive value, not only in terms of damage and shielding, but also just getting a huge AoE Cleaver proc through onto most of the enemy team can do huge amounts of work. So these tanks, not that tanky. We try to force an engage into a cleanse.
Oh, the arrow's going to go wide as well. The Magnet Storm does catch out too, but it's not necessarily the prime targets. The Gurgle is opened up, and Device not able to find it. It's a lot of CC. The knockback coming in from Wind, and right now they're just making the plays happen. There's no opportunity. There's no rebuttal. There's no turnaround, Doctor. Gamespace have no opportunity, and they're just going to fall.
It's another triple going on through for Neza. He's looking to make it a bit more as the route connects. Final shot comes on through. Quadra picked on up. And there's again, the engage is so forced. It feels desperate from Device. Neza can just walk it out. And once there's no initial burst, you can see how much Jerky is able to do. You know, Neza wasn't even involved in most of the fight to start with. He sends out his ult, sure, but it's going on to tanks. But Jerky, untouched on the back, is sending out so much damage. Alongside the rest of the team having that frontline peel. An amazing Q comes out from Scheibel as well, which pushes the ball holder back so that the Orianna ult misses. Absolutely massive. It did not connect onto anyone. Maybe that could have turned the fight around if it clipped onto Jerky, but it doesn't, which is exactly what we need to see. The fight gets drawn out. It is Jerky and Deathlock who are putting out damage. Wind's going crazy with it. And once people have been brought low, that's when we bring in the Jhin executes. It's exactly what we were saying in the draft. Jhin does not want to deal with these tanks. He needs someone else to get them low, get the initial damage, and then he can do it. And when you have a ramping damage coming through from the Aurora and from this Cleaver Senna as well, it's absolutely perfect, you know, for them. It's exactly what they needed to win that fight and to win the game.
Yeah, Wind MVP on the Cassante, I think just did so much work. Like, so much work opening up the fight, giving them the space that they needed. And then we obviously saw the Jhin, Senna, and the Aurora do their thing. Will there be changes in draft? We'll have to find out. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we will be back for game number 2. And this could be Gamespace's last dance. And we are back for game number 2 and potentially the last dance of Gamespace in this season 3, Doctor. So we'll have to keep our tabs on that one. We'll have to have a little eye as we are going to see Team Unity picking up again. They looked really good in game 1. They're going to go back to red side as well. So Gamespace keeping themselves on blue side.
Yeah, and I was going to say that, of course, we go to game 3 because Gamespace, all they do is tie, you know? They've drawn every series that they played. However, this is no longer true. Of course, yesterday they played Zero Tenacity and had their first 0-2 day, which, wouldn't mean too much during the regular stages. But now that we're in playoffs, that one's pretty important. Whilst they did have a tie versus Zero Tenacity before, one of the only teams to take a game off them, they end up going 0-2. And they had a tie against Unity before. Let's see if they can switch this one up. Because I think looking at last game, the comp from Unity was crazy. Like, it was very rewarding to see them play something that has such a I don't know if it's a high burden of execution, but like definitely like unique and something you have to have practiced. They executed it incredibly well, but Gamespace were finding their opportunities. They were finding the engages they needed early on. Things were going well. They just played into it a little bit too hard and then made a couple of possibly seemingly desperate plays at the end. So I'm wondering if Gamespace want to just go for the salty run back, because they had a good shot in that game. Like, it was looking pretty good at many stages.
Yeah, Gamespace don't seem to think that the Ashe was part of the problem. So going to lock that one in. Also, the Ashe, I feel like can be a little bit low DPS sometimes, but we'll see how this one plays out again, right? We're going to see the Maokai back on board. Did I like the Maokai in that last game? Actually, you know what? I did. I said I didn't like it in draft. Turns around. Actually did pretty good. It was a game changer, I think, for Unity. It allowed them to keep that extended range, and I do kind of hope they go for a similar comp, because at the moment all the pieces are still up, right? You can still go Jhin, you can still go Senna. The only thing you can't have from last game is the Aurora.
Yeah, that one will be taken out, and I'd be surprised if Senna makes it through the second set of bans as well. I think that there is a world where Unity, or where Gamespace pick a different support. I don't know who you could pick that would have more burst, especially if the Leona gets banned out. But they might want to just force into that one again. But I think it was so powerful. But right now, the comps are looking incredibly similar. As again, it was going pretty well for Gamespace at a lot of stages. I would not be surprised they just pick Orianna here and again do it again. I didn't love the blind Renekton, let's be honest, because the K'Sante ended up going pretty good for it. And if I'm Unity here, I'm just locking K'Sante again. I'm saying, fine, this is an okay lane for us. It's not only is it not really a bad lane that we free out scale, but also Wind was just picking up kills. Like, he was doing all right. I was going to say the Olaf has been left open. That was the change. Aurora banned, Olaf left open. I don't know if Wind had to pick it. I think we just go the K'Sante again, but it can make for an interesting lane.
It definitely can. I do agree with you, though. I feel like the K'Sante was perfect in that last composition. It did a lot of work. We already saw how Icebreaker couldn't handle the K'Sante from Wind, and I guess if Wind pops off on the Olaf as well, maybe that's an even further statement. Right now, it's even more dangerous, but it does kind of feel like there's a sentiment of, wait, was that a misban?
Perchance, but I don't know why. I don't know if that will be accounted for. Well, we'll come back to that later.
Yeah, but the Olaf, although yes, can definitely create a lot of space by driving people back because they want to run away from the Olaf, it's not the same as Wind, who was able just to tank so much damage and then also return quite a bit.
So it could well fill the exact same role in this game, right? Where, like you said, he can run and he can drive people back. So what would happen is you would have the same fight where this time around, Deft is just running in on Olaf. And yeah, he's not tanky, he's not putting out the same CC, but he's still splitting the fight up and keeping people away from his bot lane. That could still be an option, especially versus Ashe. Like, Ashe does nothing against Olaf. Like you said, she's a bit lower on the damage side, because you think that if Ashe gets a Infinity Edge, which she kind of has to, she's actually getting way less value damage-wise out of that than another champion would, because she ends up putting that into it makes her slow stronger, as opposed to making it crit damage more powerful. But at the same time, you can also get a bit bursted, not by the Ashe, but I just think by the Renekton in lane. It's a very interesting lane, because the risk for Olaf is always you just get bursted, and if Renekton has the right amount of fury, especially pre-6, if you just pop an empowered stun and break the Olaf W shield and just burst him with a Q, I think that the K'Sante was just more consistent and safer, but it could do the same thing, you know?
Yeah, we're going to get the Ari potentially locked in here. The Orianna taken off the table by Gamespace, which I was a little bit surprised about because it was such a good pick for them in their last game. Like, I feel like, especially in the early and mid stages, it was what was winning them a lot of fights. This would be a spicy pick, but I don't think it's going to get locked in. As we are seeing the Hobbits coming through, and it's going to be Senna again. So taking back that Jhin Senna once more.
See, this is interesting now because there's opportunity for Gamespace to pick a counter hit. Now, the engage is traditionally the strat, right? That didn't work for them, but now, you know, Nautilus and Leona kind of both available. If we didn't love the Rel, we could try those. The other option is to match it and try outrange it. Ooh, that's a good option too. But you could try and match it or outrange it. That seems risky versus a Senna who has healing built in as well. So that's the other strat. This one, definitely when you hit the engage, it works. And we had that Blitzcrank the other day, and we didn't love it. It wasn't great, but if there's a champion that is good versus, it's Senna. Like, if you can hook the Senna and kill her, it's just free.
Yeah, no fear of who you want to hook on the bot side. A little bit of fear if you hook the Olaf, I'll be honest, or the Maokai. But
that was not great. But
yeah, at the moment it's all right. Yone going to be picked up there for Frost sides. I like the Yone. I think that it's really strong. I think it has a lot of power, and also Unity haven't stacked tanks, right? Like, building full AD is not going to be a problem, but that could be a major issue. Lissandra picked up. What a way to slow down the engage from Gamespace.
Ooh. This could be the secret, well, not so secret, but this could be the counter to the Yone coming on through, as it's not quite the same as the. So if we're going to compare this to the comp from last game, there's more pressure being put on Jerky now. I don't think Lissandra is hitting that same kind of extra damage that the Aurora was adding, but she is definitely doing the same kind of thing where you're just hitting through a frontliner. Except in this case, you're not getting outranged, so you're also serving to disengage the potential Yone. So I don't hate it in that regard. I guess especially when you don't have the Cassandra as well, so now your only option to disengage, you know, something like the Yone or the Lissandra is going to be coming from the Maokai. So yeah, sure, we'll add a little something extra in. At the same time, it's like that. But Jerky was doing so well on the on the center before, and I'm going to keep trusting Jerky. So I get that, but it just does seem like if a hook hits onto Jerky, the game's just over. Maybe it's like you're missing a tank to body block it, but like maybe if the list body blocks it, it's fine, right? So I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting for sure. And again, we've cooked up the draft a little bit, and I'm liking that a lot. Coming,
but also like we said last time, right? There is a world where you got to think about it. If the Blitzcrank isn't ahead, then there could be some serious problems, right? Because
so who was it that picked him?
It was.
I'm checking the match history here. I've got to consult
the logs. It was back to the game for sure because they lost.
Oh, it's been picked twice. The heck?
Yeah, it was a quarter.
I didn't even know that that had been grabbed up twice. Oh, it was grabbed by Partisan once. That doesn't count. It's like that one wasn't there. But yeah, it was. Okay, so is this the secret tech? Of course, when it was picked by Back to the Game, that was versus a Rel, which was, and we said, like, what's the point? You know, like you hook the Rel, it's over. And they hooked the Rel, it was over.
Don't grab the Poppy.
Yeah.
Don't grab the jungler.
Anyway.
there was like 3 people you can't grab, you know, and it was like, okay, they're all going to be standing in front of you in the late game team fight. So yeah, and this time I do think there's a lot more option, right? Like you can grab either of the pot lanes. You could theoretically grab Lissandra because although yes, dangerous, scary witch ice lady, if you do grab her, knock her up and burst her down, well, there's no damage coming back. On the flip side, if you grab a Maokai, I feel like it's not necessarily going to be the same instance, and also I think the worst potentially would be grabbing Olaf. Because that
one's not great.
That's maybe the one you want to avoid, right? Like,
I mean,
it depends.
The one thing to know, and I brought this up a lot when it was picked last in that game from Back to the Game, because I thought that this was the point that they were looking for, but it's a bit minor this time around. But it is worth noting that the ult breaking shields is going to get a lot of value versus a late game Senna. Now that her ult, the shielding of her ult has been spec'd into a lot more as it scales with AD now, and has been given some buffs as well to things like basically incentivize her building support items. But on top of that as well, if you do hook in the Olaf, and you know he lets himself get low as he is wont to do, and then pops W, and as his Sterax goes, once Olaf pops W is when he tries to turn the fight around. It's like, well, that's just another shield boom. And if his plan is to get low, shield, and then heal back up, you can actually kind of break that a lot, and that is kind of the gimmick for Olaf. So I don't know if it's going to come up. I don't know if it's going to be relevant, but that is just something to consider, that Wind might play it a bit too close. You know, try to get a little bit too clutch with it, and then just get pops. Likewise, you can say the same for Icebreaker's stun as well.
So just avoid the Icarus moment, is what you're saying. Don't play too close to the sun, and you won't get burned.
But the threat of not being able to do that can hurt the Olaf a lot if he's conscious of it. But he could also be too conscious. Like, if he's overthinking it, that's also a major problem. But it's just something to know. Like, if you're the Olaf and you feel like you can never go down to 30% health because you'll get your shield popped and you'll get bursted, so you're always playing at like 40 or 50 instead, or you're popping your W earlier than you would like to, so your big moment in the fight, you actually have less attack speed or less healing than you want to, that can end up making a difference.
Well, Farmsky has picked a skin I've actually never seen played before, right? I've only ever seen this skin in TFT, so I'm quite excited. And we've even got a little blue chroma, you know? So I'm excited to see the Blitzcrank. I will say it was underwhelming last time we saw the pick, right?
It wasn't great.
Very different situation. I think this one will definitely have a lot more proficiency and just has options, you know? I think that's the big thing.
One thing to note as well is that this time we're not going for that crazy early game, although we could keep an eye on bot. Level 2 might be different. As there it is, the level 2 spike comes on through.
They are going for it. Their level 2 is going to be on to Skarmsky this time around.
Oh.
And we are seeing the barrier already used. Ignite also going to be utilized. So 2 combat summoners are down from Gamespace.
Not really for any gain. This is almost worse than last time, because now they haven't even got summoners traded back. And what I wanted to say was, like, the problem with Blitz is anytime that you're not hooking someone in the double range lane, it's time that you're getting chunked out, right? And you're getting brought too low. As Icebreaker just has to flash. Got to be careful, he's not level 3, but
Wind is low mana though, gonna have to proc Ghost. Device trying to get this one as well. Wind gonna be slowed, locked up. There's a damage coming through the shield, holds on, but it's not enough. First blood to the croc.
Right, I thought that Wind might be able to juke it, might try to schmoove his way through that Sejuani W, but he doesn't, and even popping the Ghost does just eventually get ran on down, and the first blood goes on over to Renekton. That is absolutely massive. That's something that's going to be able to be used in the lane, as Device is still topside, knows that ward is there, so knows he can get around it if he wants to, and forces a TP out from Wind, so Wind has to TP back to a potentially unfavorable lane state. Yeah, look, that wave is slowly pushing in towards him. You just get your Sejuani here to do the crab and then just walk up, and you can probably just go for a dive on Wind. You stack this wave, you let Icebreaker build up his fury, and you just dive as the wave crashes, and he loses a massive amount because he doesn't have TP. This is something to be aware of, and look at that. We can even see that Frostsize might be getting involved too, or at the very least, just trying to secure some early vision. But actually, no, we've taught it off. We've walked it out, and we're not. Look, we set up for that dive so much, but won't be going for it in the end. Instead, Device just is actually, I want to full clear my jungle because, to be fair, the bot side is spawning and the top side I don't think has even been taken yet.
Yeah. Only has taken 4 camps, including the grub, so it's quite a little bit behind if Scheibel in tempo. As we are going to see the Sejuani slowly making their way through. And I guess the thought process is like, okay, if Scheibel has gone back and then comes back as we're diving, it could end up in a 2v1, which would lose the Renekton in the lane. So I do think it's a nice setup play. If they could get it happen fast, it maybe would have worked out, but they slowed it down. They didn't have the tempo for it, and I think staying away from it is the best option.
Yeah, they don't want to do anything too crazy on that and risk any throws. I mean, again, this lane can be very... There's a lot going into it for a Renekton Olaf lane, and a major part of it is to do with the trading of burst and sustain. Both have pretty good upfront burst. Both can sustain themselves, and so there's a lot of ways to take the fight. Like, the all-in is just sort of always going to go to Olaf, but how long you choose to extend each trade is very important, and it's very hard to call who actually ends up winning it out, which is why you can see that Wind is happy to pick into the Renekton, but at the same time, like Icebreaker, he's now got a kill. Wind wasn't able to get that solo kill. Icebreaker's now got, anti-heal, first item, very massive. Like, it could go either way. I think we might end up just seeing both junglers spending a fair bit more time up towards that side of the map, because if you can get one of them snowballed, it will sort of completely shut down the other. But at least Icebreaker still has an option of relevance in terms of just popping an ult and being a stun bot later on. If Wind gets shut down, your Olaf's not really going to be doing a lot.
And on the bot side, there has been a bit of recovery from Gamespace. You know, like it started off not the best. We talked about the combat summoners going and then maybe having a little bit less pressure, but actually they're doing completely fine. They're even in CS. They're able to keep themselves healthy. No one's gone down. So I think all in all, they're going to be pretty happy with how the map's going in game 2 for Gamespace.
Yeah, that's an important note actually, is that ooh, Pokemon Connect. But as you said, they've brought back their even in CS. You would assume that the no kill threat of of this blitz lane would be very dangerous, and you would end up getting just sort of slowly poked out. But you know what, Unity, they don't want to risk it. They don't want to walk up on into that hook, and so it does still end up being an even lane. But you know, very important to note is that you don't really want to let this scale. We saw what happened with the late game Jerky. We saw what happened once he got hit, not only his Cleaver, but also Hurricane as well. Hurricane on center is an absolutely amazing item, and people just don't really rate it because you think that she's not an auto attacker. But if you have the opportunity to hit frontline, which is exactly what center wants to be doing, especially with, like, you know, Q and whatnot, it can go very well very quickly. Also helps with wave clear on a more traditional like AD center. But on this case, it's going to be AoEing that Cleaver out as well. It's great. So we really can't afford to let these guys just have a free scaling situation. But the plan may well have just been wait for level 6 and we'll try and make big pick with arrow, with hook, and getting a double kill is going to be hard because ultimately I think whoever gets engaged on is just going to leave, or the other will just leave them for dead. But it should be pretty free for Gamespace to try and get themselves at least a couple of picks once the arrow is available. Maybe they look to get some more burst items as well, but they have to do something at some point. As Scheibel, a bit of a miscommunication on this one.
Yeah. Oh, that's a little bit rough. That's a little bit rough coming out from Unity there, because that could have easily been a simple engage, a simple kill, but in the end, it's just Wind raising his ghost.
Hang on, he slammed the ult up on top side. Icebreaker's flashed in as well. Was he re-engaged when he knows that Scheibel is nearby? What happened?
Well, it ends well.
I don't know what happened. All I know is that Icebreaker flashed in. I did see that part on the mini-map as maybe he was trying to burst out Wind, I don't know, but Scheibel was still nearby.
Oh, Device able to set this one up easily for Frostsides. Scheibel gonna flash away. Frostsides though does have flash as well, could potentially just get into range, but Soul Unbound is going to cover that ground anyway. Flash is finally going to be utilized, and Frostsides will pick up that kill.
You managed to take him on down, get a bit. Oh, hang on, bot lane.
Oh, can't
the arrow
for it. Needs are going to be hit with the arrow. Nice cleanse though, and they've rooted down Unknown. Barrier going to have to be utilized early on. Karnski with no hook at the moment. Did go slightly wide onto Niza. Will be getting chunked out pretty heavily here. But they will also be able to get back to the safety of their turret. Low mana for Niza as well, so no opportunity to just drop the curtain call, although it's already been utilized actually. I don't remember when that was used.
I think it might have been cancelled looking at the cooldown on it. I don't think they hit 6 that long ago. Whilst that was going on, we should note Winds did roam down to sort of mid-chickens area and did end up getting a kill onto Device as well, so we seem to get a bit more money up into that top lane. But I know it's not looking like Karnsko is actually the most confident here on this blitz. You don't want this fight. I don't think they want the smoke on this, but maybe they do, as they do have a jungler lurking nearby. But what happens there is, you know, Neza and Jerky get split up, sure, and that's what you want, but they're split in the wrong axis of direction. It's up, down, and what you really want is sort of front, back, off the back of a hook, right? Because even in that situation, Karnski keeps chasing down onto Neza, but you can't really capitalize on that, you know, because if Unknown goes through and starts hitting Neza, Jerky's still in range to hit them, and sort of vice versa. So not only do Unknown and Karnski go onto different targets, once the flash is forced out from one, you can, if you want, just both 2v1 the other. But again, you know, Neza flashed down, so he was actually still in range to hit the two of them if they had been fighting onto Jerky. And the important thing about Blitzcrank is you make 2v1s, right? So when we look down and we see that the way that they've played out the fight keeps it a 2v2, it's a little worrying for me in terms of, you know, the Blitzcrank confidence at the very least.
Yeah, the Kronka. Can he manage to get the grab? Who knows?
It is getting the grab. But it's getting the grab at the right angle. So far, he's missed a lot of grabs. Let's get that part too. But getting at the appropriate
this one might land though, because they are going to get the lockdown onto Deathlock. A cheeky knock-up should secure this one. And it's an easy takedown for Frostsize. But Icebreaker will be feeling the same issue in the top side here. We are going to see the Ragnarok coming through. Stun does land onto the center. They will take one tower shot as Frostsize now going to be making their way up. And here comes Gamespace. All 4 members left are in the top side here. And Shiva will going to be taken down. The rest is trying to get away. A quick TP, or sorry, a quick base was able to get Wind out of there.
It was TP.
Jerky. Oh, it was TP. Okay, nice. But Jerky,
he committed. He was not risking that one.
Not in the same fate.
Oh, Device does manage to tag the kill there. Hang on, bit of TP flank bot lane. Oh, what's going on? What's going on with the Renekton? What's going on with Icebreaker? Oh, the other one. Ooh.
Looking for
TP flanked that. It's a dead gen. It's a dead Nezza. Press R. Press R, lads. Press 1. Oh, there we are. Oh, he's full health.
He's running. He's running.
Wait, he's just walked
out.
He
might get away. He's just
walked out without flash.
Hey, crocodiles are not that fast on land.
Hey.
There you go.
Hey. You wrote the whole thing out. He's chilling. This is like one of those crocodile keepers that walks around hitting them back into the pond, you know? Just walk away.
That's going to be 4th grub picked up there by Gamespace, and the fighting's not done. Deathlock comes back, gets sent straight home to the fountain, and Jerky might be next. He's quite far forward here. Needs to be careful. Hook doesn't land.
Nice.
Wind on the side has killed off Unknown, and it is completely open season as the curtain is called. They will kill off the boar, or it's actually a bear in this skin. And finally, we stop fighting.
Oh, nice route as well. Come through to cancel Casco recall, and this will mean that 2 grubs got over. You can see they really tried to hand that kill on over to Nezza, who was taking his time with the 4th shot. Really wanted to line up. It just missed. And so Jerky does end up picking up that kill. But honestly, I think giving the gold over to the center so they can get... so they can get their 2 items is not that bad, but Nezza will be forced into cleansing there. Does not want to get hit by a Soul Unbounded Frostsize. Don't want to get ulted on there.
I will say, yeah, we haven't seen many hooks. Like, that's it's a tough one because obviously everyone's anticipating it, and I do feel like there's also a lot of value in keeping the hook. And I think as we do get into those later fights, it will matter more. We have to watch though, because Wind is getting pretty strong. 4-1 at the moment on the Olaf. Definitely a dangerous prospect in the game.
He is looking to be a bit of a menace. Moving on forward, as I think he should just have his Stride Breaker fully finished as well, and that is just terrifying for an Ashe. Like, now he doesn't even need to hit the hooks. The item is a bit broken. I'll hit the hooks, hit the axes. Even the hooks do still need to be hit. We'll get to that part, but he is just terrifying. And you'll also see as well, Scheibel not going for the not going for AP this time. He's gone ahead and grabbed himself.
Oh, the hook lands.
That's one. Can they get the kill?
Forced to ult. The stun coming through. The shield though from the center
is
enough. The glacial prison thrown out, but no one could connect onto it. Jerky moving up, and Device having to walk away. So Deathlock able to get out. A lot to use to try and kill them there.
And just not enough damage to come on through. And I think what we've seen there is that we have seen Jerky slam a ult, a Q, and a heal to keep someone alive. And right now, it only mattered for 1 kill. But keep an eye on that, because later in the game, those are only going to be stronger. They're only going to be putting out more. And it's just the power of a center who can hit 2 frontliners, or, one of each team. It's double dipping. Not only are your Q and your ult dealing damage to the enemy team, but they're also giving health back to your team. And it is just showing some of the power at a very early stage of what we can expect Jerky to be doing, and what we saw Jerky doing in the last game of this series. As the Herald was picked up, and we could just see another kill going on over to Wind up in the top lane there. Ult was committed, and as was the Herald over on top side. Should be a free kill.
Oh, Icebreaker in big trouble here. Ragnarok is going to get the kill with Wind. Able to do an extra bit of damage. I thought Ragnarok was actually going to cost Wind his life, because he was obviously losing a lot of damage from that tower, but in the end it does not make a difference. Another kill to the Olaf, and more control on that top side gained.
Yeah, it might be a little bit early to get into the Herald there, though, as it will get to a turret before the wave and die a little bit sooner. But Deathlock once again hooked up. Once again,
Deathlock is not the person to dive, especially not when they have the ultimate. Able to get away with the frozen step, but finally chased down though by Frostsize. We'll go back to the tower. No, it's only 2nd shot, so it'll be fine.
It was ramped. Yeah, it was not.
It's a sentiment where this game is close, Doctor. We haven't really talked about it, but this game is really, really close, right? 4-2 grubs for Gamespace, so they do get that buff. 1 dragon apiece, only 1 kill in it. and it equates to 400 gold in the lead for Team Unity, and we can imagine that's all on Wind.
Yeah, that's the thing, is we need to consider where the gold is, because Wind has his 5 kills, also did get that tier 2 turret, split some of the local gold with Scheibel, of course, not as nice as you would like, but if Frost Size goes in, Lissandra ult, Lissandra W, you know, Maokai W, Maokai ult, Maokai Q, he can get rumbled pretty quickly, right? If Wind goes in, he gets 3 kills. Like, there's not much about it. So, whilst the gold is even, I think it's pretty good for Unity right now. As you see, they get another turret.
Be getting more. Icebreaker able to give a lot of distance between him and the attackers.
Watch Wind
gonna get hit with the arrow. Wind trying to run away, actually doesn't want any of this smoke. The Kernkel over the top trying to get some slows down, but Unity completely forced away. However, none of them have actually died yet. Scheibel is still alive and running.
Yeah, I think he probably ends up going on down. You'd have to assume. Oh, Neza, do not give the double E to Icebreaker. Oh, good lord, don't let him dash through and kill Scheibels. No, he won't. In fact, we actually just get Dominus out for free, and that is crazy to see an Olaf pop an ult and run away, but that's how you know that Wind is an Olaf mate. Because he actually knows the rare occasion where he can't run in, and it is going in for a 1v1 against the equally strong Yone here. He knows there's no CC to lock up the Yone. He knows it'll be 1v2, and he's not getting the free healing targets of tanks that he normally wants. Oh, Scheibel!
Scheibel with the dodge!
Oh, not Scheibel! Oh,
and it doesn't make a difference. Karmsky with the redemption, but Frostside's now in big trouble trying to dodge away. Gets over the wall with the fate sealed. That might have left the fate of Karmsky sealed. He's now the target of the Olaf, the Viking, charging down the robot. Wind with the stam. The damage, the undertow, the slow, it's all too much. Another kill to Wind.
Another one picked on up, but ultimately it's kind of a lot blown. It is the TP used for just the 1 kill, and that doesn't mean that Icebreaker should be able to get a lot of damage. Maybe even just get the turret itself with his 4 grubs, although they will be traded over on the mid side with that tower being secured as well. Meanwhile, Kamsky chasing down the kill. Did actually lose a pretty massive wave to a tier 2. Don't know if it was worth more than the kill, but it would have been nice. We have now had 2 fights in a row where one person TPs in from one of the teams and the other catches a massive wave. So before Deathlock caught a huge wave up top, now you could argue that he wasn't able to TP because he had to go catch that wave, and maybe if he could TP the fight would be different. But this time around, yeah, when Deathlock teleports in, Icebreaker says, cool, I'll just go top and I'll actually get the turret. So getting something out of it as opposed to not losing something, whilst mathematically it's the same, vibes-wise is a bit different. And it does just mean that there isn't going to be a teleport split available for Deathlock, but at the same time, they kind of do just want to be with the team, right? Like, all Deathlock has to do is stop Frost Size when he looks to engage.
And we do measure a lot of this on vibes. So, it checks out. As we are going to see Kamsky, they can land a hook in this later stage. It will be a game changer, but at the moment, Hook's not landing at the moment. Dragon coming up in 1 minute 20, so I imagine we start to see a little bit of priority around that. And it is going to be interesting to finally see these 2 sides collide. Obviously, Wind and Frost Size has had their moments.
Again,
and,
it's like,
with the assistance of Deathlock, I think the game can really change for Unity.
Frost Size is... he's stoppable. Now, it's worth noting, I think he has just finished Stridebreaker on that bite. Yeah, okay, so he's gotten a lot stronger, because now he actually has resists. Not resist, but he has tankiness, he has health. Because, again, if Frost Size goes in, he gets Lissandra. If Wind goes in, he gets a triple kill. These are the differences between the two, even though they're both strong. So Gamespace really need to make sure they play the fight right. Usually what that's going to be is it's going to be Kamsky hooking someone to bait just anything to be used not on Frost Size. If they get the kill, great. But even if they just hook Deathlock and Deathlock ults himself or slams an early W, that is the cue for Frost Size to go crazy with it. And given that Gamespace have control of the bot river right now, they are in a good position to force people to walk into them and to walk into Kamsky's hooks.
Arrow does land. Kamsky will be able to get the hook onto Maokai. Scheibel going low, but able to buy a little bit of space. Here comes the Olaf. In goes the Viking. Wind will be able to help take down 1, but can they get more? Already lost the Ragnarok. Now lost the undertow. They've locked down the Renekton. Another hook does land onto Wind. There was one we said you don't want to pull in. Is the Olaf, who's going to look for the chase, but will not be able to get to Frost Size in time. TP going to be coming back in. The Yone will be making their way back to the vicinity, but it's still a 3 versus 4. Dragon open, but no junglers, no smite for either side.
And neither team looking to start that one up as a result. And yeah, I mean, the fight looks okay. But it's not the fight that you want this game space. Again, you're engaging onto a tank and you're letting the center clear on through. Now the Drake has been started up though, and TP is committed. Drake relatively high. Is Wind with the moves?
Is coming in. No,
he just kills Unknown.
He's going to get slowed. Unknown in a dire situation here, will be taken down, and Wind may even look for more. Actually, Frost Eyes in a bit of trouble here, but could get locked up. This is the knock-up. There's the kill. They've taken down the Olaf. The shutdown though does go over to the Sejuani as Jhin trying to find off a little bit more damage. Icebreaker going to find Jerky on the back of the fight and should be able to pick that up. The Dragon will be secured though by Unity, so a trade for Dragon and a couple kills. I think all in all, it may be worth the game space due to the Olaf shutdown.
Yeah, it was a lot of gold, but it went to the Sejuani as the one person that you don't want getting that money. Is what are they really going to do with it? Like, we're going to finish a Warmugs, sure, but the option is like Warmugs is good when you're getting poked. I don't think that Gamespace are going to get poked because they will look to force a fight instead, and they might actually end up forcing onto this Baron. They do have the damage coming out from Frost Size. This time around, they can actually rush it. Scheibel knows what's up. He has got his sapling in with vision, bit damage, pink forward as well, and he can flash for a steal. Kamsky also can't keep him out. They have to peel off.
Ooh, they're looking for Niza. Niza will flash away though. Gets out of the vicinity. Ooh. Baron stopped. In game space, they're playing on the edge here, and they know they have to win this game. Doctor, the pressure is high. They are performing well, and I will say Frost Eyes is doing a great job. But can they get Unknown in the fights? Can they start to bring Icebreaker through it? It feels like at the moment it's basically Yone versus the Olaf.
Yeah, he's getting it. God, it's not scary though because Neza has no flash for the next fight. But you're right that it is just about these two melee guys with sharp things running on in. And I'll say again, Wind, you know he's a comfortable Olaf player because how he played the fight before that in the mid lane. He pops his ult and he just runs on in and sort of ignores everyone and goes for Unknown. And if I'm the Olaf in that situation, I was a bad Olaf player, or there's a not Olaf player, I'm thinking like he was on top of Icebreaker at the start of the fight, and obviously for Olaf you want to just be hitting something all the time to keep your ult up, all right? And in that fight what we saw is he just ignores the Olaf, keeps running on through, uses so much of his ult duration just to reach, I think it was Unknown, kills him, gets the job done, and then moves on to the next. And by the time he reaches the second person, his ult's timed out because he only got about 2 autos during it to extend it. And to your average Olaf player, that's not a good thing. But Wind, he's very comfortable on champion. He knows his limits, and he knows, I only need this thing to actually get in, get the kill. And after that, if I get stunned, I don't really care. Like, I've done my job. And whilst it's stopping him from getting the maximum turbo pop-off fights, it means he's getting his job done. He's getting what he needs.
Ooh, oh my days. These are big pickup here. The Jhin is gone. Unity, will they look for a turnaround? I don't think they are going to. They just accept the fact that they've lost one member.
Yeah, God, I mean, that's what you want from the Blitzcrank team, right? There's a no flash, no cleanse, but it was major tools in committed. Sejuani and Ashe both throwing out their ults. So I realized we have all 3 of the Freljord sisters to slay on this one. But, oh god, another hook.
Knock up onto the Lissandra. In goes the Olaf. But it's not going to be enough. Wind doesn't have the damage and doesn't have the tank stats.
He can't commit on into that fight. He knows. He starts running away. You think, no, commit. You're playing Olaf. As he runs away, his Sterak's procs, his shield comes. And if he's stuck in, he dies. He just get insta-blown. And he gets popped. The Scheibel gets hit by the hook.
3 for 3. Kamsky has warmed up now. The right hand of God is starting to land. And at the moment, there's not a lot that we can see Team Unity doing about it. The Baron will go down. It will be traded over for a tier 2 in the mid lane. So a little bit of map opened up for the side of Team Unity. But if the fights continue like that, and the gold lead is starting to open 2,000 in the lead for Gamespace, you know, I don't really see what Team Unity do to counter it.
Now, these hooks are starting to come through. Now there's enough burst, right? If a hook lands, the person dies before they can use their thing. You know, before Maokai can W, or before the Sandra can ult or Zhonya's, right? Before Jhin can flash out. They just get hooked and they die. Crucially, now Neza will have cleanse. And so he should be relatively safe because the hook isn't the longest range engage. It's the arrow and it's the Sejuani ult. He can cleanse that and hopefully still dodge the hook that will follow. But It is starting to feel that Gamespace have figured this one out a little bit. There it is. No, he doesn't move!
Are grabbed again. Sky not missing at the moment.
He flashes the initial, he flashes the stun, sure, but then he's just sort of jiggling on the spot. Easy hook come through from Karmsky, flashes over that wall, has the vision secured already, has that pink, so no, no thought of that possible angle coming through from Neza. And it's a great flash, it's a great hook, and it's a pretty undodgeable angle, to be fair, because we're on top of a slow, and the only way we can dodge is kind of into a wall. So a great choice angle, and both summoners gone again, or at least the cleanse gone from Neza. There's another hook! They figured it out!
Locked down, is stunned, not going to be killed though, was able to get underneath the tower, but Wind also not able to run in, taking so much damage on the way out as well from the Ash, and stepping forward, he's just going to have to watch this tier 2 tower go down.
Yeah, Wind losing out his Sterak's there as well, just getting it poked off. Never right as ult. Icebreaker now could be caught out. Can a shot hit? Yeah, it can. Shot comes on through, and I don't think it was a very big shutdown for Neza though, but it's at least a nice consolation as they do now lose the Drake, that one being picked up by Gamespace on the other side of the map.
USS also built for Yone. We have to think about it. It's good against Deathlock. It's able to kind of stop him from just getting CC'd to Oblivion. And at the moment, I will say, Karmsky, it wasn't the best early game, but has turned it around. And any hook that lands is death.
Yeah, now they're starting to come through now, but the team has a little bit of damage. But I mean, presumably at some point, Unity start playing around it, right? To stop being hit on by these things. But it's also, if the tanks can just get tanky enough, then it's kind of okay. I mean, the sort of major issue is if Deathlock gets hit, he's just dying instantly, right? It's already known that Jerky and Neza are dying instantly to the hook. That one's not new. The fact that people are going to keep getting more damage means that Deathlock's never really going to be able to tank it either. But if Scheibel or Wind can just get tanky enough, preferably Scheibel, that they don't insta-die to the hook, the fight gets very different because, Scheibel will be able to proc his passive, his W, his Q, his lock-in.
Wind's going to go aggressive. Frostside's potentially in some trouble here. There is the Glacial Prison. The
goes
damage coming down. The Olaf has got it. The shutdown is there. Unknown going to have to flash away. And this is the fight that they've been waiting for. The Olaf is unstoppable. Going forward. Device will get over the wall, but chased down by Scheibel. And in the top side, the Renekton will fall as well. And it is going to be Team Unity that finally find the play.
And that's the fight. There's no instant burst to start it off. And you can see for Wind, he just runs in. And what does he do? He just chases down Frostsides. He ignores everyone else. He knows they can't stop him. He knows the only threat is Frostsides. And Frostsides has a 1k bounty on his head. So once we can pick up that kill, the others are just free. We're forcing flashes out and we're getting kills as nobody can deal with Wind in the fight where he's allowed to just run forward. And this is what we need to see from him ages ago. But we never could. The fights were always just a bit too off. He always knew that he can't 1v5, but he can 1v3, 1v4. It's Deathlock now actually the one in trouble.
Oh, but it is Deathlock the one in trouble because Unknown, the TP, here comes Wind, and goodbye to the Ash.
The burn. The red nearly taking him out. But Deathlock just manages to live through that one. It does force a TP out of Wind though, and not for the most gain immediately. It could well turn into a tier 2.
Apparently the lockdown is here, the damage on top. The Sejuani gifted over a kill, and this is exactly what was utilized by Gamespace, right? Getting a pick and giving themselves a numbers advantage. Now it's Unity that have the numbers. They are 3 versus 5 as they barrel down towards this tier 3 in the bot side.
That's the tank. That's the Sejuani. Not only attack, but with passive up as well. Just get completely melted. Because there's just too much damage coming on through from Wind with his E, with true damage, with the armor shred of a cleaver on Jerky as well. What's now found out is that Unity, our team, they can actually be the ones making picks as well, but they do have to commit a bit more. So, I mean, for Gamespace, it is still, it's hit the hook, but it's also, it's hit the hook, probably onto Deathlock, get that kill, boom, nice and easy, but you just still don't really have a way to deal with Wind. I think the plan is you just spread out a fair bit. So you have to group together to hook one person. Then you have to sort of spread out. One person's going to die to Wind. You just accept that, and the rest of the team try to commit on the ensuing 4v3, right? I think that's how they can win a fight. The problem is they need to win that fight quick enough so that Wind is 4v1 at the end. Because if they take too long, which is a very real possibility when you have to deal with Scheibel and with Jerky, then Wind can turn around, join the rest of the fight, and clean up those kills. So that's sort of the problem for Gamespace. They can win an immediate, instant fight, but they have to just disengage way faster than they have any capability to, or they have to keep on bursting people, which they're also going to struggle to do. So these fights are very, very difficult, and you're sort of stuck in this weird limbo state where you can't go fast enough, you can't go slow either.
Frostsize still on that split push. Is now going to be joining back, although no, actually may continue for a couple more waves. We are going to get Deathlock in the vicinity. No TPs for Unity, but there is a TP from the mid laner of the side of Gamespace, but it may not be needed because they've already lost one. It looks like they're going to lose two. Wind still with Ragnarok. Now going to go forward for Unknown. Decides to go into Icebreaker instead. They will take down the jungler. Ragnarok still available. Now finally timed out. They could go for Baron, but I think they might just go for the base.
Right, walk it on through, but there is no Ragnarok. Wind pops that one a bit early and recognizes without his ghost he can't reach Unknown. Does that mean that this is now safe? I don't know. Unknown doesn't have the arrow, but the Glacial Prison is available. Gamespace gonna have to try and hold this 3v5.
There's the face seal. Deathlock by the mid space. Scheibel, they're going to be going all the way with Frostside.
He's still alive
for the kill. Still up, still alive. And they haven't managed to make it happen. Unity not able to find the lockdown, not able to get close enough. Anita now in a big trouble, will get knocked up there, taken down. Cleanse to buy a little bit more time, but it does not matter. Will be removed from the game. Dragon is up, Baron is up, 3 members from Unity, and all 5 from Gamespace.
It's a great re-engage, a lovely play coming through from Frostsize to keep Gamespace in this one again. They are the kings of going 1-on-1. They want to try it again. They will move on over to the Baron. It will be uncontested. Unity just going to trade it for a Drake instead. But Unity did get both of those inhibitors, so they are at least going to have some element of pushing power for themselves as well. But it's not going to be a Baron, and that is going to make it a lot harder for them to try and close out this game.
It's a close one, Doctor. It's been a close one. It's still a close one. We are only 0 gold away, 100 gold at a max. It's 1 dragon to Team Unity and 1 or 2 grubs extra to Gamespace. The numbers are so close. The soul point is secured by Team Unity there, 1 away from the Infernal. As Deathlock looking, hunting for Icebreaker, but not going to be able to get close enough.
Not 100% sure on the vision of that one, but I mean, presumably it was that they just want to get a real quick kill whilst they can. They know that Deathlock's not going to use his TP for anything else and get rid of that split pushing Baron potential. But, you know, not a lot of harm in doing it, and Deathlock got a lot of money out of it. You know, he manages to catch a huge wave there as the whole of Unity now stack up on this top side. Again, maybe that's the reason. Just stop any push coming, let them get this wave. That's actually kind of good, because the plan is if they don't stop Icebreaker right then, they have to wait another 30 seconds. And 30 seconds is time that you can have Frostsize setting up the other side of the map. But that's actually really good. So they just TP in now to set up the wave so that they can try to walk in, so that they can apply pressure on the final lane that they haven't got an objective in. As hook goes a little wide, and it just means that they don't give anything up in terms of, like, if they had if they'd let that wave come through and they wait for the next wave, Frostsize is on the inhib right now, but they applied enough pressure to stop the Baron from being used to push.
2 versus 1. Now going to go into Ragnarok. Icebreaker in big trouble here. The curtain call stopping anyone from getting into the fight either. And that will be the pickup there for Unity. But here comes Device looking for the lockdown. Doesn't manage to land it. Jerky in a bit of trouble though. Has to stay away from Frostsize, who's looking to get aggressive with it. Gets lockdown though, and is able to get out with the QSS. Frostsize though so low, cannot join in. Now the damage is raining in. Niza is starting to hit their mark, and this is it. Unity are moving forward. 5 members strong. 1 inhib open. And they are looking to close out the game. 1 has just respawned, but I don't think they need it.
Absolutely not. In fact, we've got the wave coming on through here. DP on in. It's an attempt to hold it from Frostsize, but this time it won't work out. And once again, Unity just understand their comp so well. Play out the fight exactly as they need to. This was not the first time Jerky has hit that juke either. There's a couple of fights where I'm saying, Jerky, you can't be here. There's been about 3 fights where if Jerky has gotten hooked, it's just over. And about 3 times, he's baited the hook and actually hit the dodge, and the fight has been won. And it's crazy to go for that when there's so much on the line, but he does manage to bait out the hook yet again and again. And also, again, we have to talk about Wind on the Olaf there, because if I'm the Olaf in that situation, and I think if a lot of people are, you're like, ooh, can I use my ult on the Renekton in this final fight? I think I needed to run down the Ashe. But he's so present of his team's win conditions. Like, yes, we just kill this guy, and then it doesn't matter. They don't have the engage, they don't have tank, I can just be a tank once that's done, because even though I have 12 kills, even though I've run everyone down, the boys behind me can get it done. So it's a great presence of mind to recognize he's super strong. He could 1v5 any fight he wants, but he knows it's not what the team needs. And he's able to take that backseat because he's just so comfortable on this Olaf. No one is going to say, oh, I'll be the tank in this fight as Olaf. No one's saying that. They're all going 1v5, as you would assume you do. But because the sheer number of games that Wind has on the champion, he just knows the limits. And I really want to shout out the TP play on top as well, just to TP, because you're planning ahead 30 seconds. Just to TP to save one wave completely stops any attempt at a Baron push or attempt to get back in from GSMC.
Yeah, and it looked good for Gamespace. It looked like they almost maybe took us to game 3, but Unity hold strong. They take themselves through to the next stage. That's round 2 of the lower bracket, where they'll be taking on the winner of tomorrow's game. Back to the game versus WLG. I will be joining you back here with the Rev, I believe. So make sure you tune in. The playoffs are getting hotter.